regular meeting of the Zoning Commission to order. And first is the appointment of alternates. And we have Tucker here. Who else is here?
Jackie.
Jackie. We'll flip a coin. Okay, Tucker, you're appointed to serve for Donna, unless she comes.
Sure.
Okay. All right, the approval of minutes, we've got 3 sets of minutes. Start with the March 21st minutes. I looked through them. Anybody find any?
Saw a very
errors?
tiny thing on line 46. It should says the demolition would be minor, so it's missing the word be. Again, it's a minor thing, but yeah.
Yep. Yep, good eye. Anyone else? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of March 21st as amended?
I'll
I'll
move
make
there.
a motion.
So moved.
So moved by Ann.
Yes.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
Tucker, second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody?
Dave,
opposed?
I'm going to abstain from this one. I believe I was absent. This was the meeting that had to do with the Latimer Lane School.
Yes, you were absent.
Yeah, I was absent.
Okay.
And I have to abstain as well because I was not at that meeting either.
That's why they were continued, is because there weren't enough of us.
Yep, Ann was not there either. Okay. All right, all in favor? 4 of us, I think.
I think there's,
And opposed, none, and abstaining 2. Correct? Okay, next order of business is the minutes of April 4th. I wasn't there. Anybody have any comments or corrections about April 4th?
I would offer that I was there and I've read the minutes and I didn't see anything that was omitted or needs correction.
We have a motion to approve those minutes, please.
Oh. I'll approve. I'll
Move to
I'll
approve.
motion to approve the minutes as they were submitted.
Okay, is there a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Second by Ann.
I guess I have to abstain this one because I was not there. So
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
Yeah.
And opposed? None, abstaining, me and Diane. Okay, they're approved 4-0 with 2 abstentions. The next order of business is the minutes of April 18th. Anybody have any comments or corrections for those minutes? We have a motion to approve them as submitted.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Diane, thank you.
And I'll second it.
Second by Bruce. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstain. I'm abstaining. I think it's 5-0. They're approved. Okay, next order of business is there's a public hearing of Megan O'Connor. Mr. Vice Chairman, can you read the call?
I got a different application than the Megan O'Connor.
But that was the last one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Had the wrong,
All right, well then I'll go ahead here.
Okay.
Application 2213 of Simsbury Townships LLC owner, Pamela Patos, applicant for special exception and site plan approval pursuant to Simsbury zoning regulation section 8.6 for expansion of a liquor permit and approval for construction of a approximately 486 plus or minus square foot patio outdoor dining area for the property located at 928 Hot Meadow Street, Assessors Map H09, Block 227, Lot 002, Zone SC.
thank you. Okay, this is a full liquor, restaurant liquor permit.
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Um, Pam, do you want to explain what your application is for?
Yes, it's just to build an exterior patio to expand on our outdoor dining space.
Okay. Comments from the commissioners? Or questions? Or
Well, we need a little more description on where it is.
Terry's got that all.
Okay, Terry?
Okay, this is
Sorry.
Terry Hahn, Principal LADAPC Land Planners. We're the site planners for the project. Let me just pull up. I have a nice little PowerPoint for you, so hang on. So you can see some pictures and get some sense of what's going on. All right, let's get this here. Can you see my screen or no?
Not yet.
I
Okay.
did, and then it went away.
Yeah, that's what happened to me too. So hang on, something happened. Just sorry about that. Let me just,
Now it's back.
okay. Hang on, I should be able to just go to here. Nope. Okay, that's not going to let me do that.
Just keep it in regular mode there.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Yes, it won't let me. It won't let me go to the slideshow, so we'll have to deal with this. That's sorry about that. Okay, so again, this is Terry Hahn, Principal LADAPC. This is an application for Popovers Bistro and Bakery to expand the outdoor dining area. Technically it'd be a site plan modification, but it ends up being a special permit because of the liquor permit as you've identified before. Let's go to the next slide. This is it's at 928 Hot Meadow Street, which is in the Simsbury Town Shops. It's in the SC, the Simsbury Center zone. We're doing that way. Popovers is located in the building that faces Hot Meadow Street. This subway is to the which direction? South, and then Starbucks is behind the picture that you see here. On the right-hand side of the slide, you can generally see this. You can see Popovers, and then you can see a dashed area where the 3 parking spaces that we're talking about are on the right-hand side of this image where it says existing conditions. Just to give you a sense, on the left-hand side photo, you can see there's a couple cars parked in where we're talking about, but on the photos on the bottom and on the left, those are the 3 parking spaces that we're talking about converting into outdoor seating. You can see that there is some existing outdoor seating up on the upper level where the entry is, and so this would be an expansion into this area. The site plan modification, like I said, is to convert 3 parking spaces to from asphalt to a stamped and colored concrete. I'm going to go with a gray stone color, and to install safety barriers along the drive side and then on the side adjacent to the parking spaces to remain. There will be pedestrian access from the existing sidewalk, and that the site itself is part of the overall Simsbury Town Shops, and we did prepare an evaluation of the parking requirements for the overall complex once we remove these 3 parking spaces out of service. In reality, they're not completely out of service. They can be converted back into regular parking spaces without too much difficulty long term. So the proposed project, as you can see, that these are the 3 parking spaces, be outdoor seating. We've got popovers down at the lower section. If you can see my cursor, the existing outdoor dining is right off the corner there. There's a sidewalk that comes here, step off the sidewalk, and then you enter into the outdoor seating. This is the gray ashlar pattern that we're looking at for the proposal. And you've got Jersey barriers located along the drive. We think that that's the sort of most secure use of materials. And we got a couple of bollards along the parking space. So you could technically walk in on that side, but if there's a car there, then you have to come around and come in. Really, you want to have a controlled entrance in something like this. Just a sort of overview in the, relative to the parking spaces. Here, the side, you can see that the sidewalk does not come all the way out to the end of the parking spaces. So we have that little zone there for access. The blue lines here show where the seating area would be. So she's ordered 6 tables. They look like the light blue furniture that you see on the right-hand side of the slide. That would fit in to the slide. And I have a kind of a before and after picture so you can see what's going on, looking at it from the Starbucks corner. So you can see the upper area for the existing seating, and then this is the lower area here. We do require a special permit as per section 8.6.4 because of the liquor permit extension. We provided in our submission the special permit criteria and provided review for that. I'd be happy to go through, but I believe it's fairly clear that it meets the requirements and is consistent with the requirements of the special permit.
Okay. Questions from the commissioners?
Terry, did you look at any alternatives to the New Jersey barriers? I mean, I
Yes,
assume you did them because you wanted to make it, revertible, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's revertible, but we also looked at, everybody's doing outdoor seating now, and we looked at, so the restaurant supply people have some interesting sort of planter and fence type elements, and we felt that those really weren't going to be, given the fact that people pull out of the parking spaces towards the barrier, we didn't feel that it was adequate safety. That it would be not that difficult to actually roll backwards potentially through those things. So we felt the Jersey barrier was the sort of best safety consideration. We all agree it's not the most attractive, but I think from a safety perspective, that's where we wanted to be.
Okay.
Terry, just to follow up on that question, are those Jersey barriers held in place by virtue solely of their weight and friction, or are they somehow anchored?
No, they have a rebar that goes down.
Okay.
That's an anchor. I mean, they can still be lifted. If you take a forklift, you can still lift them out of there, but they do anchor just down into the concrete with a simple rebar.
Okay.
I have a question. One of the pictures you have here has some bollards as well as the Jersey
Yes.
barrier. Can you go back to that, please?
Yep, this one.
So what is the problem with just having those bollards all the way around instead of the concrete Jersey barrier? I mean,
we were more concerned about just having these are 4-foot spacing, which is fairly typical. Just we're a little bit concerned that you might clip a corner of a car or something as it's backing up. Also, that the bollards it didn't quite have the solidity.
well, that's interesting because I know bollards are used to defend like critical sites from like attacks, never mind like a vehicle accident. The safety concern is kind of news to me on that.
I mean, can I interject?
So 4-foot spacing, that should stop any full-size vehicle, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Well, you still have the possibility of like having a corner of the vehicle go in, but go ahead, Pam, if you'd like to.
There's many motorcycles also that park in that parking lot. And so I think just the bollards would allow a motorcycle to get through and hit someone sitting at a table. I think safety wise, that seemed to be the option that Henry also wanted us to do.
Did we get
They
any
will look
comment?
pretty. We're going to paint them, so they'll look beautiful.
Okay, did we get any comment from design review?
We were told that it wasn't necessary to attend design review.
Really? Okay.
Meaning they didn't consider this, or you didn't attend their deliberations?
No, we weren't.
Yeah, staff did not take this to design review.
So who made that decision? You, George, or did
Yeah,
design review board make that decision?
No, we had a conversation about taking out the outdoor these outdoor spaces to design review. I was told that we hadn't done that, so we're trying to be consistent.
I have another question though.
Go ahead, Bruce.
I can't remember ever seeing this before in my experience on the zoning commission. That could be, my memory's fading, but where we're taking from parking spaces in a parking lot, and especially one that sort of raises the issue of making a determination about the adequacy of the parking based on as large a group of apparent, I don't know. I thought these were sort of independent properties, Simsbury Town Shops, and then where the coffee shop is a Starbucks, and the post office. I thought they were all independently owned properties. Am I mistaken?
They may be independently owned. However, back in 96, when the last series of approvals was granted, the board, the commission had created an overall parking plan that included a fairly substantial, there were a number of different parts to it, and all we did was follow what had been done before. So that it's actually considered an overall complex, which is fairly standard for something like this. And that's how the overall parking count is. If I could make one thing, that the outdoor dining down at the pizza place, now called the Iron Horse Pub, that used to be parking spaces.
Mhm.
Just so you know.
That's right.
That's right.
And I would say that the parking, let's say, so that's 3 parking spaces you're taking up, right?
Yep.
So realistically, parking spaces are what, 2 people per vehicle? If we're lucky, it's usually just 1 person per vehicle, and it seats what, 26 people in those spaces?
24.
24 people. So, I mean, it does seem like a more economical use of space than what is essentially free parking. So I do understand that part of it.
But-
Yeah, I think my biggest concern is the aesthetics of it.
Well, I'm not finished with my question.
I'm sorry.
What I was looking for is some indication whether it's in the dark history of our processes. Is there a formal consolidated parking agreement or shared parking agreement between the owners of these properties? Does anyone know?
Can I answer that?
There's one owner.
Hang
Dave?
on, we
No,
have
just a second.
Rich
This is a
Correa.
public hearing, and Rich, you may speak.
Sure. I'll give you the history way back with the Simsbury Town Shops. At one time, it was 3 different ownerships. However, the Berkshire Hathaway building, the Simsbury Town Shops main building, and the Starbucks building are all owned by Tom Ryan. And we had, forever, the Simsbury Town Shops has had an agreement in place along with the post office, where the post office can park on our property or the Simsbury Town Shops property, and Simsbury Town Shops can park on post office property when it's not in use. And Pent Road is also owned by Simsbury Town Shops. But the 3 buildings now are owned by Tom Ryan under whatever entity he owns the town shops.
If you
Okay,
took
but there is, Bruce, I believe that Laura said there was a parking plan that was adopted in the 90s.
Actually, that would have been before Simsbury Center Zone. And Simsbury
Yeah.
Center Zone, actually, you don't have to have all of the parking on each property. Did
Correct.
you use the Simsbury Zone in calculating your parking?
We did this time. On this slide, you can see the gray area. That was the 1996 parking plan. And on the right-hand side, we recalculated all of the use, number of parking spaces by use, and we have way more than is necessary for those various different uses, square footages.
Well, my limited experience with consolidated parking agreements is that they provide the entitlement of the owners and their tenants to use the property of the others. And they typically provide that you can't post the spots on your lot as only restricted for your tenants or your customers. They're fairly elaborate legal documents. I think what you're telling me is I don't hear anybody saying there was ever one of those. So You know, I'm just trying to satisfy my sort of interest and concern, because it's quite possible that the owner of the buildings that were just cited, if the test was only on those buildings -3, does that still meet the requirements? The common ownership group -3, is that still satisfactory to meet?
Hang on, let me get you a better view of this.
And if that's the case, well, it's a
So-
good piece of information.
Based on the 1996, we use these various different areas that were designated from the 1996 one based on the various different buildings. If you look at the parking chart here, it is broken down by buildings.
Right.
You can see that in each case for each individual building, they do have more existing parking spaces than would be required as of 2022 by each individual building.
So of those that are listed there, which of those are under common ownership?
Theoretically, they're all under common ownership. They're all other than the post office, which is done by a other document. Everything what is known as the Starbucks building, Simsbury Town Shops, and the office building are all under the same ownership.
Okay. Okay, that answers my question.
Anyone else? No questions, Diane? Ann?
No, I was gonna, sorry, Ann. I was just gonna say, my whole thing was about parking, just because that's such a awful lot. But I mean, as long as others are satisfied, as far as, the fire marshal said it's okay, then that's it. And as much as I agree, I don't think Jersey barriers are certainly the most attractive, because at night that parking area is so tight. I think it's probably the safest option. So,
Laura, did we get any public comment?
I did not receive any public comment on this application.
Okay, anyone?
I would just like to find out, I don't know about this year, but previously with COVID, you had a whole tented area for outdoor seating. Is that still going to remain there, or will that go back to parking?
No, we were taking 10 parking spaces for 2 years with that, and it was too much for the complex. So 3 was an agreed upon fair number.
All right, so that's going back to parking.
It's never, yeah, it already is. It's been back to parking since November.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? No questions?
Do we need to talk at all about the expansion of the alcohol use? I mean, that's the only place no, I guess the liquor store actually has, they're more than retail, right? She's able to do demonstrations.
Yes.
But is there anybody else in the building that has an alcohol permit?
Andy's.
Oh, yeah.
well, Pam, you have a liquor permit, right? You're just
Oh, yeah,
looking
we've
for
had
an
it.
extension
Yeah.
on the patio.
It's just,
And
no.
we've had it for outdoors the past 2 years with COVID, and we still have it with the state to be outside.
What do you have now, a wine and beer?
No,
she
we have
has
a full liquor license.
Oh, you're full, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's just expansion of the territory then, okay.
More questions?
Will your hours of operation remain the same, or are you going to start to be open in the evenings?
They'll remain the same. I mean, every once in a while we have a special event where we do a catered party, usually inside, but no, 8 to 3.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I would just say I've seen there's a I think it's a Mexican restaurant in Hartford that does use Jersey barriers occasionally to close down a piece of the street to get outdoor seating, and they do make it look fairly good. So I would just hope that if you're going to use the Jersey barriers, that you guys do put into consideration just something to make it not look like a construction site. So it looks like a.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we have someone who's going to be painting them. I don't know if anyone saw the Jersey barriers outside of our tent, but they were painted the same as our interior color. People commented on them, photographed them. They were blue with like a white flower pattern. We're going to make it look beautiful. That's just the way we operate if you've been inside. Yeah, it's going to look beautiful.
Yeah, I would also add, I know West Hartford Center has Jersey barriers out into the road on both
Yeah.
LaSalle, Farmington Avenue, and they've put all kinds of flower baskets and flower pots, and they've actually made it look very attractive as well.
We will do the same. It'll look beautiful.
Okay, we ready to close the public hearing?
Okay, I move that we close the public hearing.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 6-0. It carries with no abstentions. Okay, we closed the
Thank
public
you.
hearing. And the next order of business is application 2214 of Wolf Restaurant. Is there someone here to speak about this?
Yes, my name's Lauren Rosen, and I'm with Artifacts, Bloomfield, Connecticut. And we're here representing Abigail's. So I asked for an extension a couple of weeks ago. We had met with the design review board, and there were comments made about the previous design in terms of how they gauge the size and the lighting technique, which this time around we've addressed all of their comments and considerations. Initially, we had Abigail's as what would be referred to as a stencil cut push through letter with an opaque face. I don't think that went over with the design review. And they had judged square footage in a certain way. So we brought the square footage in and we've changed the lighting technique. We call it a dual wash light. So the crown molding on the top contains a light source that's about a 4,000 Kelvin that washes down and lights Abigail's. Abigail's is a dimensional letter. It projects off a 1/2 inch. It's got a 1/2 inch of standoff behind, so the shadows are not severe. There's a secondary wash under the arch of Abigail's, same 4,000 Kelvin, that washes down on the lower portion of the sign, which is set in from the Abigail's band. So Abigail's projects out the band that it's on about 4 inches from that tan background, which is set in about 4 inches. So the wash light from the band that features Abigail's washes down and illuminates grill and wine bar, which are also dimensional letters that are fabricated in the same way, 1/2 inch with a 1/2 inch standoff. Lastly, there's a panel below, Tavern, established 1780. That will be mounted directly to the background with no standoff. So the end effect is kind of a tiered wash light, and fabrication is all aluminum plate, non-degradable substances, epoxy paints that are low luster. The end effect is it looks like wood. We just fabricated the sign across the way for the First Church on 167 in Hot Meadow. Same type of technique. We also fabricated the new signs, designed and fabricated the new signs at Ethel Walker. Same type of technique. And we looked at the corner. I live close by and frequently drive by this. It's a prominent corner. We wanted to stay reserved in our approach. And I think, design review was kind of surprised that we met them on every request and then some. In fact, they're asking us maybe we can make it a little taller or the top a little fancier. And we're satisfied with what we have right now. And we think it will fit into that environment nicely. And I can answer any questions about fabrication, lighting, methods.
Can someone put it on screen?
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what?
Thanks, Kevin. I was gonna ask the same thing. It's confusing
I'm
when you
so
don't know what
sorry.
exactly.
I'm
what
so
diagram you're looking
sorry.
at.
It was a brilliant description, but I'm personally a visual learner.
Oh, boy. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, I thought I had it up. It's been a long day. So the existing sign for Abigail's, which is 33.46 square feet. Our replacement, which is just over 20 square feet. And this is a daytime view, a nighttime view, which shows that double wash light I had referred to. I hope that makes it easier to understand.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, yeah. I just realized that the picture in the attachment is slightly different. You did change the top of it. Very
Yeah,
nice. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's nice.
Thank you.
So the view that we're looking at right here is your application. These other things are not the application. These two images, the one in the center and one to the viewer's right, that's the sign that you intend to have approved, right?
Yeah, that's the revised presentation. The sign on the left is existing.
Right, I realize that. And
Yep.
every time I go by there, I'm waiting to see it falling over.
Oh, I'll give it another couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's not in good shape at the bottom. Yeah,
Yeah, rotted away.
right. Well, that happens.
It does happen. We had done the sign before for Pettibones. We're contracted by some firm out of California, and we're only responsible for the foundation. We didn't make this particular sign.
Okay.
any other
Um,
questions? Go ahead.
Tell me one other thing. I just want to be sure, as I sift through what you said, that I'm coming to the right conclusions. The two images, the center and the right, there is no internal lighting element involved here. There's no light penetrating the sign in either direction, to the south or to the north. Nothing internal. It's all external lighting. Is that
Well,
right?
it would be considered external lighting that's born from a shielded source from within. I would describe it as. So it's external in the sense that nothing lights through the letters or the sign faces. And that was our point of contention last time with design review, and I understood their point.
But the concern is over light penetrating, electric lighting penetrating the sign. It's not limited to concern about the lettering, it's the sign, anywhere on the sign. Our regulations are intended to prohibit internally lit signs. It's not just internally lit lettering, it's internally lit signs.
Yeah, no, I would describe it as a sign that is not internally lit. It's wash lit,
Okay,
which would be external illumination. Our
Yeah.
preference lately is to keep the lighting contained, just so we don't have appendages that come off of the signs or lighting that's from the ground, which at times is tough to maintain, especially in this environment.
right. Okay, thank
In
you.
fact, the lighting, I think right now that's on the Abigail sign is in a terrible way. External lights that were probably, I'm going to guess, either quartz halogen or metal halide, and they've kind of fallen over. So this is a no maintenance type of sign as well, and that's our preference.
What's
did
the
you say
actual
this
light
is the-
source?
Oh,
Excuse me.
sorry, Dave.
What's the actual light source?
So the light source we would use would be LED.
White
And
LEDs?
Yeah, in this particular instance, we would control the intensity. they're behind a lens that's frosted so that you don't pick up on the lights themselves. It's kind of a uniform beam. Typically, we're running about 240 lumens per foot, but that's the intensity before the light hits the lens. So I'd tell you probably about 200 lumens a running foot. So if the sign's almost 4 feet across, 800 lumens on the top, 800 lumens on the bottom for a total of 1600 per side. So to put that in reference to like an old fluorescent lamp that's a 4-footer, those were about 4,000 lumens. Granted, they were in a 360. So, you know, it would be 2,000 lumens coming in one direction.
Did you say this lighting is the same as is currently in the lighting at the Congregational Church, the center of town?
About
In
the
the
same.
sign.
It's actually a little more like Ethel Walker.
Okay,
With Ethel Walker, the light was built into the crown of the sign. At the church, it's built into, I believe, the arm of the sign.
oh, okay.
And I'm sorry, yours
Diane.
is built into the top kind of ridge there.
Two areas it's built into. So the top crown molding, the underside of it.
Could you
And
put
then-
like your mouse on where the light is
Oh,
coming
I'm
from?
sorry, yeah. So right under here, there's a wash that comes down and lights Abigail's that's buried inside of this crown molding.
Okay, that's what
The
I thought.
crown molding, what we do is we program a metal machine to bend plate aluminum to get the effect of, you know, a traditional crown. And then there's another lens that's behind this arc on the bottom that also lights down. Exact intensities, exact Kelvin, exact, you know, luminosity.
Okay.
Okay, Diane, you had a question?
No, Bruce asked.
Pardon? Has it been answered? Diane?
Can you hear me?
I think you
Yes.
froze for a second.
Yeah, you
Oh,
froze for a second.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, no, I was just gonna ask the same question that Bruce asked. I wanted to know whether or not the lighting was the same as his other signs in town, but I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, good. Anybody else have more questions?
Well,
Bruce?
is it gonna come up at some point later, Dave? The location of this sign seems to be not a simple matter.
Yeah, so if I can address that, it's in a state right away where it's been for the last 3 incarnations. So in dealing with the state, which we have done many times, if this was a brand new sign with a new foundation, Abigail's would have to sign a lease with the state and an item of subrogation. They would have an indemnification insurance wise. Being that it's an existing sign, if we conform to state regulations, which specifically says we need breakaway bolts, which what we'll do is we'll probably cut the existing bolts down and then retrofit with breakaways that we would conform to their regulations. In the event they expand Hot Meadow 10202, this sign is portable because it's going to be built with plates on the bottom. So, you know, we can move it. And the problem with the property, if it's located in any other adjacent portion to the parking lot, it's very hard to pick up from 187. And part of the reason for the location of the sign is so it's visible from not only 110-202, but also 187 as you approach the T.
185, just for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I knew when I was saying it, it was wrong. 185. I call it Simsbury Road because I live on the top of the mountain.
At the bottom of the mountain, it's Hartford Road.
There you go. My apologies.
Okay, but I believe there's a variance been granted for that sign. Is that not correct? George?
Well,
Or-
It is, we included, I think, in your packet, the approval from 2000, and it was a variance for this property to allow a business identification sign outside of the property line.
So that's the one that we picked up for Pettibones.
right. I think that was helpful, but I'm not sure the state DOT, do they really, what do they think of town approved variances and that conflict with their regulations?
I think provided we abide by really it's the breakaway nature of the sign, because it's an existing foundation and a sign has been there and approved. It's not a new building. I think if it was new, we would be going through a 6-month period to obtain a lease and, offer a whole new set of papers, plans, et cetera, et cetera. So we've been through it before. We recently did one down in Wolcott, Connecticut, and that was just on state land. And we went through, all the provisions that were required, which were the breakaways, and then the paperwork with the owner who was new. In other cases in West Hartford, Bloomfield, we've replaced one for one, provided we have breakaways.
Do you get any documentation from the state indicating that they're okay with that?
We can. The only thing that you have to remember, and I don't mean to, front on the state. I love it in Connecticut. I've been here all my life. Probably to get you the forms, even if we applied, it's going to take some time. It's a matter of what department, who's open, how quickly they respond. But it is a provision we could make, saying that we will get the documents. I'm just not sure when we can get them. They've been awfully slow.
Is this in the same location as the existing sign?
Yes.
But it's not on their land.
Correct, but they have permission to have the existing one there. Is that correct?
Well, it's their land, but the state has a right of way.
Yeah, I misstated that, right? It's in the state right away.
But you have permission to have the current sign.
Yes.
Okay, so anyway,
I think in our application back, was it 2000? There were provisions there from the state, which we went through already. They weren't as elaborate back then, only because the breakaways weren't considered. We just had a strange situation where we put up a sign that had breakaways down in Wolcott, and the place got robbed. And as the guy who robbed the place was backing out, he smashed into what was a very expensive sign, and it broke away pretty quick and destroyed the sign, which was unfortunate, but those are the rules.
okay, are we ready to make a decision on this application? Or do we want more
Well,
information?
Well, Dave, I just want to be clear then that we're not, by our decision, we don't have any authority over the DOT and their rules. But
That's correct. It's the owner's risk for putting the sign there. I don't see that we have any risk.
This is the, oh, it's backwards. This, I should have had it up on the screen, but this is the variance that we received. And it
We're still-
was issued to the company that contracted us.
yeah, I'm sure it's interesting, but we can't see the document you're referring to.
Yeah, we're still seeing your signs, but we've got that in your packet,
Okay.
but thank you.
I should have scanned it, I guess.
Okay. Kevin, what do you think?
I'm okay with it as a replacement for the existing sign, and it's an improvement over the existing sign.
Diane?
Kevin said it best. I agree. It's a very attractive sign. It's replacing the existing one, which is very much needed. I'm good with it.
Ann?
Yeah, I'm good with it as well.
Tucker?
I approve of it as well.
Bruce?
I'm 100% supportive of this sign. I am anxious about the fact that by not saying anything, when we get to the motion, I think we should have something in the motion that makes clear that we're not ruling on the point of having the sign placed within the DOT right away. That's not our purview.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion? I think the staff gave us some draft. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a draft.
I couldn't
motion.
find a motion in there.
So if you, I could share my screen I certainly have it in the staff report.
I've got the motion if you guys want me to read it.
The staff,
Okay.
I'm sorry, excuse me, but the staff motion refers to a special exception. This is not a special exception. It's a sign
No, sir.
application.
No, we've got on page 4 of the staff report, revised attachment A. If Mr. Rosen could stop sharing his screen, I'm happy to show it.
Sorry, George, I'm having trouble hearing you clearly.
I think George was just saying that there is the right motion and he was just going to share it on his screen.
Here you go. How's that? Can you see that screen?
Yes.
Yes, yes. This is granting a sign permit. Down here, it says in granting the special exception.
I think because
Go ahead. Yeah, I would just go ahead in granting the sign permit. I would just go ahead and strike that.
the previous proposal was larger than what was allowed. We didn't think so, but that's how it was judged, and I'm happy it was. I like the sign better.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion?
I'll make it.
Okay.
All right, I move to approve application number 22-14 of Art FX for a sign permit at 4 Hartford Road, Assessor's Map G15, Block 45, Lot 001, to allow a plus or minus 25 square foot ground mounted sign. Commission makes the following findings in granting the sign permit. The sign, Exhibit 7, Revision 2, dated April 19th, 2022, conforms to the sign regulations and design standards found in section 9.3 of the zoning regulations. In granting the sign permit, the commission issues the following conditions of approval. An administrative zoning permit is required for sign installation.
Okay, we have a second.
I'll second.
Second. Kevin?
Yes.
Okay, any further discussion?
Yeah, how about inserting a word to the effect that it's clear that it's a replacement? I don't think I read this before, but I don't see that word in there. It's a replacement, same location, something like that. So that there's no argument that, there's some extenuating circumstances why we approve something that's not consistent with the DOT regulations, and we know it.
Diane?
Do you want to just say, so a motion to approve, blah, 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 for a sign permit? Do I have to reread the whole thing? You could just
No.
say for a ground mounted sign to replace existing sign in same location.
Perfect.
Okay with Kevin?
go further to say that was granted the special exception or granted the variance back in whatever the date was, George.
March 27, 2000.
Okay, Diane, that's okay?
That is fine with me, yes.
Yep,
Kevin,
and
you the second?
Oh, that too. Yeah.
Okay, good. Now we're further discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. That carries 6-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next application is Pam's. I'm sorry you had to sit through this, Pam. We could have reversed this.
It's okay. Very interesting.
Okay. If we put a light on the Jersey barrier, we're going to have to look at that.
Perfectly lit.
We won't.
There's a bit.
No lights.
Okay. Any more comments just from the commission? We're ready to make a motion. Is there a motion in the staff report?
Yes. There's two, we have to do two motions with this one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we separated it into two motions.
Okay.
Somebody want to tackle that?
I don't mind doing it. I don't want to be greedy if somebody else wants to do it.
He's being nice. At the last meeting, I just assigned it.
This is true.
Okay, Diane, you'll be our hero this week.
All right, let's see. So let me make sure I got the right. Okay, so this is for the site plan. So I make a motion to approve application number 22-13 of Simsbury Town Shops LLC, owner Pamela Pados, applicant for a special exception and site plan approval pursuant to Simsbury zoning regulations, section 8.6, for an expansion of a liquor permit and I guess they're both. And approval for construction of a plus or minus 486 square foot patio / outdoor dining area for the property located at 928 Hop Meadow Street. Assessors map H09, block 227, lot 002, zone SC. The approval,
I think we did these as separate in the past.
that's what I thought we said, but
So why don't you do,
I guess I will just remove the language about the liquor permit and just say for an expansion of, or no, for approval of construction of a 486 square foot patio outdoor dining area for property located at 928 Hop Meadow Street.
okay. Second.
So let me continue this one and then I'll do the other one. The approval of the site plan modification is subject to the following conditions of approval. Administrative zoning permit is required for construction. The commission authorizes staff to approve minor changes to the approved plans such as landscaping, grading, etc. Said changes are to be made in writing to staff and approved prior to implementation. So
Okay.
that's motion one.
So I'll second that motion.
Second by Bruce. Now, do we have some discussion on the criteria for approval of a special exception? Was that covered in the staff report?
There is that for the special exception. So it just, I think the wording was included for both, but there is another one for the special exception for, I see. Okay.
No, you've essentially read the
I read it right the first time.
it was very awkward to take out the liquor and include this is the site plan. You've got a motion for the site plan approval, and then we'll go on to the special exception.
We just did the special exception. That's her motion.
No, but that was for the
Sure.
site plan.
That was the
That
site
was for
plan.
the site plan.
You just did the site plan. Okay,
Yes.
fine. Okay, sorry, I got that backwards.
Yeah, it was a little confusing.
Okay, so we don't have to discuss that. Any further discussion?
We need a
All in
second.
favor?
Need a second.
Aye,
I think Bruce seconded that one.
yes, I did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed, abstain. Okay, the site plan approval carries unanimously. Okay, now let's carry on with the special exception.
All right, I'll try to do this one. Okay. I make a motion to approve application number 22-13 of Simsbury Town Shops LLC, owner Pamela Pados, applicant for special exception and site plan approval pursuant to Simsbury zoning regulations, section 8.6, for an expansion of a liquor permit and approval for construction of a plus or minus 486 square foot patio / outdoor dining area for the property located at 928 Hop Meadow Street, Assessors Map H09, Block 227, Lot 002, Zone SC. The commission makes the following findings in granting the special exception for the liquor license modification. 1, orderly development. The establishment is in harmony with the appropriate and orderly development of the town. An expansion of the license to outdoor areas is consistent with the character of the area. 2, property values. The special exception will likely have no negative impact on property values. 3, public safety. The fire marshal finds the parking area and access maintains consistency with the fire code. The proposed parking area barriers are satisfactory. 4, traffic consideration. Even with the loss of 3 spaces, the retail complex meets minimum parking requirements. 5, landscaping and buffers. These criteria are not applicable. 6, relationship to utility systems, drainage systems, and impact on community facilities. There are no improvements planned under this category. In granting the special exception, the commission issues the following conditions for approval. Special exception is not effective until a copy of the notice of grant is filed with the Simsbury Town Clerk. And 2, further exception of the premises which triggers a modification to the liquor permit are to be approved by the zoning commission.
Second,
I'll second it.
second by Ann. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. It carries 6-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay,
Press up that Jersey barrier.
They'll look beautiful, I promise.
Okay.
Thank you.
Make
We'll
it
go to
order
the Pennsylvania barrier instead.
Pennsylvania barrier.
We'll
Okay,
look forward
we
to
have
coming and checking it out. Thanks, Pam.
general commission
Thank
business.
you.
We have a memo from the selectmen to consider here. George, you want to explain what the selectmen have said?
I guess everybody's got a copy of it. So I think what the selectmen, I guess I'll just paraphrase. I mean, I think that what they're suggesting is, once the outdoor dining, once the temporary outdoor dining becomes no longer temporary, I think that they are supportive of developing outdoor dining regulations, that are more permanent.
That would accommodate the things that have been,
It could kind of accommodate
Temporarily
the
permitted.
patterns, right? The patterns that we've set and kind of how we have permitted them during this temporary COVID period.
okay. I have one other thing to bring up. We have been wrestling with the sign regulations for quite some time.
Dave, hold up there.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask a question here about the Board of Selectmen. I don't know that I've ever seen a Board of Selectmen memo to the zoning commission advising us about their opinion on a topic that may come up a year or further down the road, but I don't understand where they're identifying the fact that they're supportive of outdoor dining while maintaining the health and safety of the public. And then it says an example of this continuing to allow staff to process outdoor dining permits via administrative approvals. I'm not sure that illustrates, the approval process really has nothing to do with the health and safety of the public. It's just making the approval process quicker for the owners of the property, which I'm 100% in favor of. But I guess my thought would be, if I had some feedback for the selectmen, it would be to give us their opinion on timely issues. And when this comes up again, we'll see. But I'm
Okay.
not arguing their opinion. I just think
Okay.
the argument could be a little more
they are-
solid than that.
They have a limited ability to influence the zoning commission,
Well, they don't have any ability, right?
and they can make their opinion known, and that's fine. And they have.
Well, like any
Um,
citizen can.
Yeah,
Let's,
we can put it on a list of things we want to take a look at, Greg.
right. I have a question for the commission. I think it's important that we pass on the ADU modifications, if we're going to make any, on a timely basis. And I think that takes priority over continuing to deliberate on the sign regulations. And if you guys will agree, we can put the ADU proposed modifications up for discussion, and we can decide what we might want to do and then notice them and have a public hearing on them if we make any changes. And do that in a timely basis so that the Board of Selectmen has plenty of time to do their public hearing and vote on the opt-out. Anyway, I think that it's important that we get that done. What do you guys think?
I totally agree. I know as a member also of Aging and Disability, I know there are members on that commission and they're following that feel this is a very urgent matter and would like it to be, advanced, looked at, discussed ASAP.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree, Ann. We say that it's a priority, and it is. So let's act on that and let's start moving forward. I would agree.
Okay, I think we should put in, if you all agree, put an agenda item on to discuss the 3 or 4 important things. I think the size of ADUs was one, having a indoor or door related between a door between the unit and the main house. The other thing was requiring shared utilities. And there might be one other thing, but we can discuss those items and come to a conclusion about what we might want to change, and then ask staff to prepare the zoning reg changes and have a public hearing on them. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think I'm not suggesting it's unfair, Dave. I wonder if we're clear enough on what the opportunity is. What things could we change? And what are we inclined to change?
I think we're answering a specific legislative act. And I think the requirements and the differences between our current regs and that act provisions have been pointed out by Laura's memo and a lot of discussion among us. I don't think that's unclear. Does anyone?
Well, I haven't looked at that statute in some time, but my recollection was that it had provisions in there for training of staff and other things. Am I right, Laura?
Those weren't opt-out provisions, I don't think.
Wow.
They
Maybe
included a
that's-
lot all within that one act, but it was also included in that same act, Bruce. That is a portion of it.
Right, but you don't want to discuss that, Dave, or you're not aware of these other?
If that's part of the opt-out choice, yes, we should discuss that.
We should have a menu of what the opt-out choices are. And
This
Well,
is
see
only
what
for
we're
the
gonna-
opting out of the ADU portion of it. That was changed on the resolution that you guys approved previous to this.
So what you're
Bob
saying is,
DiCrescenzo went over it for that resolution to make sure we only included the provisions for the accessory dwelling unit.
so there's nothing else that the statute provision about opting out. So we can't opt out of the language that initiates training requirements for staff, and
Correct.
that's law.
Not just staff, it's
Yeah,
commission members.
It doesn't. It- yeah.
And commission members too, but
Okay,
We're not opting out of that.
Right.
That's still in effect.
I think
Well, we haven't discussed it.
everybody has been to the sessions and that have been.
well, I don't know if that's true. I don't think it is actually, but it wasn't required, so it doesn't matter.
We've had 2 or 3 in the last couple of years. And I know that I've been to at least 2 of them. And I thought Kevin was,
I've been to one. I've only been to one.
and I thought you went to one, Bruce.
I've been to more than one,
Okay,
but we're only 3. There are 6 commissioners and
okay,
3
well, we'll get
alternates.
the whip out and we'll,
Well,
I don't think we have a choice of opting out of that.
well, the statute that doesn't prescribe any penalty if you don't
That's-
bother with it.
That's true.
So-
I'll say that I'd be happy to attend these trainings if I know they're available. I'm a little new, so I haven't had the opportunity yet, and I'm not totally familiar with that new reg, but.
Yeah, they only do it once a year, so.
Okay, yeah, I just, give me the date and I'd be happy to attend.
The Bar Association has an all-day session, generally on a Saturday in March for some reason,
at Wesleyan University.
and
Yeah.
Wesleyan, and you'll be notified when it's available and in time to sign up.
Yeah,
The
they do-
town,
they
the
do that
town
every
will
2
pay your
years.
fee.
Yeah,
Go
they do
ahead.
that
And I just add that I did attend last year via Zoom.
Yeah, they may do it more frequently now that everyone has to attend. You know, they might make it more available rather than one super huge group.
George,
But I
did you have
don't
something?
know that they identified one that would meet the requirement, but there are multiple resources for this. And they have a slightly different pitch, but anyway, that's not up for discussion, I guess. That's a law now.
Okay, George, you had something?
No, I was going to simply say that the Wesleyan stuff will be, they do that every 2 years, so it'll be next March. And then I do understand that the Connecticut Planning Association, maybe to address Mr. Elliott's question, is going to be working with other organizations to develop a number of different types of training sessions that would be acceptable under the law. Although I think you're right, it's not exactly clear, but I do think that the local state planning association will be working on a number of options.
Okay, anything further, guys? We have a motion to adjourn.
I'll move adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?